What's up, nerds? Back in the garage, we're doing transmission mounts, engine mounts. We're supposed to be doing hubs. They didn't come in. Supposed to be doing rear link bushings. Didn't come in. We are supposed to do pulleys. Didn't come in. I think they're all sitting at my house right now, but didn't have time to bring them over to the garage. So at the current moment, we're changing out the transmission mount. Just got that done. Kind of always expect things to be harder than they are, in a sense that I think that things are easy. When I do, they usually turn into fucking projects. So I always anticipate a 7-day job on a 2-minute project, just so hopefully something goes right. I'm about to dig into the engine mounts here in a second, and we'll see how bad they go or how good they go. They don't look horrible, but they also don't look easy. I got my old transmission mount. As you can see, a little bit of vibration was getting through there. They're connected normally. Just a couple years, like 20 and 320,000 miles. Check your transmission mounts. Engine mounts, transmission mounts, two of the things that seem to get overlooked quite often. The general maintenance stuff, spark plug wires or ignition coils, rebuilding your shocks, uniballs, ball joints, all that kind of stuff. Everyone complains about a weird noise, vibrations, things like that. Well, rubber only lasts so long, so I don't know why we all don't question why we have to replace tires, but when bushings go bad, you're like, oh, I don't understand, go 100,000 miles, why are they bad? Rubber bushings, I don't understand. Anyways, we'll dive in here, show you what's going on. You guys can have a better look at how this is installed and how I did it, just using a jack to raise up the transmission. I'm going to do the same thing on the engine. I just realized I have a skid plate on there now, and I don't want to do them already. So we'll see if I even get to them. Stay tuned. All right, for the ones that want to know or care, obviously that's your transmission mount. You got 2 bolts on both sides. Here, there. You got your drive shaft on this side that makes it a little bit tight for wrenches. If you happen to have one of these low profile ratchet wrenches, makes it way easier. But you also have the 4 tiny little bolts up there, which are just hand tight. They're not torqued down, and those guys are reasonably torqued. I just always do good and tight, and then I just do a little bit tighter. This is your heat shield. Other than that, I just use that jack with a 4x4 little cut off and put it right underneath the transfer case skid plate here, and just lifted it up a couple inches. When it comes to orientation, there's a little hip on these guys. The hip needs to go forward, and to be able to get this out, I believe I kicked it up and out like this, and then was able to wiggle it out like that. I know it sounds weird, but just kind of kick it around and move it around, and it'll eventually come out, and then you have a new transmission mount, which hopefully I don't feel nearly as much vibration, because my isolator vibration, I might or might not have blasted that sucker off. So we'll get to the shitty part now, which is those guys right there. They're wet. So I don't know if you can, my finger's gonna be too big right there. So we'll see what happens. All right, so for what it is, that's what you get. Used versus old. Same with the transmission mount. This was supposed to be connected at one point in time. You can obviously see the daylight in between. No good. So that's been changed out. Passenger side's been changed out. Driver side's not getting changed out today. I can't deal with it. This one's a lot easier to get to. Can't really get the camera in there to get a good angle of it. But there's only the 2 bolts up top, obviously, and then the single bolt. Again, these 2 bolts in the back. Give them a single bolt. This one's connected to the block. This one's connected to the frame. We come over to the driver's side, and we just have 0 room. So as you can see, it's right back in there.
and it's all hidden underneath those wires right there. So I got those two bolts out, but it's that back one that's behind the starter. Really dumb. And I could get it out today. I just gave up on it more or less. I got a trip coming up tomorrow. I'm gonna go home and get some pulleys done, get packed up, and not worry about the rest of it, because I'll just come back home and get the rest of it done at that point. But that's where we're at this point, and that winch still needs to get worked on, but for now. All right, dudes, back from the trip. Time to do the hubs. They finally came in, which is pretty exciting. So we're gonna get the track all up, get the hubs done, possibly that other engine mount, and then we got some links that we have to refreshen on the rear end of this guy, because she's getting a little sloppy. 100,000 miles on those old links. So we'll get into that and see what happens. Maybe the truck might fall off the jack stands and we might get a new truck. Who knows? How exciting. Stay tuned. Homies. As you can see, I got it off. It doesn't really take too much time per se. If you get the hub assembly, it's 4 bolts on the back of the spindle, which is pretty nice. Don't make the mistake of using this end once you get them loose, because they'll back out and you won't be able to get this off. I didn't have that happen. I just have had it happen. So with enough experience, you know not to do that. Anyways, with that said, the whole process itself, take the tire off. If you have wheel spacers, take the wheel spacer off. If you don't have an impact, keep your caliper on. Stick a screwdriver or a punch in there to be able to stop the hub from spinning. You can get the axle nut off. In this case, we have the impact, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just zip it right off. For the most part, again, 17 for the hub bolt, 17 for the caliper, 19 for any of the wheel socket most of the time. Other than that, you know, open end wrenches and some ratchets, get it done. And then after that, we got to go for the tie rods and some vehicle bearings, joints on the it's not doing it now, but earlier it was. That sucker's free moving and bouncing all around. You can't really see it probably, but she's having a fun time in there. She's had some miles, so we'll get her done. We also have to get those rebuilt by Tyler and revalved, the twin tube and the rear tube. We'll see those later when we do those links. Got to freshen those up, but in the meantime, we'll get this button back up. Got it done with very minimal noise. We got her done. Just to pull the wheel back off to take that shock out, but you know what, it is what it is. I gotta get the parts anyway, so. Alright dudes, I forgot to videotape this earlier, but just for the ones that care or want to know little tips and tricks that work for me. I always drop the bushing side of it for these links themselves, and I'll show you when we go around and look at the upper links, is you can't grease them the way they are. You can't flex them out enough to be able to grease them. The Zerks are up inside of the link mounts themselves, so you have to drop one in as it is. On the Johnny joint side, you can just break loose the nut. You don't want to, if you don't have to, do the bolt side, which allows the grease to run through. You technically don't have to, from what I understand, because it's basically a captured uniball for say inside of there, so there's plenty of room for it to squeeze around. So dropping the bushing side, which allows the grease to get around there properly, and for you to check tolerances of bushing to the metal sleeve inside of there, allows to grease this one too as well. With that said, I go over, check the shock, make sure the shock is not leaking, nothing terrible on it. I do have a hose that rubs up against it on one of my bypass tubes, and I don't want it to rub through. I also check my sway bar end link mount. I run a rear one because this sucker sways like crazy, especially with a little bit more weight. I'm not really sacrificing any travel per se. I have a rear locker, and my thing is crawling. These things are just for the side party that I like to have when going down the wash. Pairs well with the front ADS, especially valved properly, and these will get valved by Tyler soon, which I'm super excited about. Let's jump to the rear real quick. Take a look at the upper shock, or up the upper links, which are super easy to get to grease wise and maintenance wise. Pull those driver's side, you can see the Zerk fittings, but when it comes to these guys, you can see they're right up in there, making it real difficult to get to. And they're visible, but you can't get the Zerk fitting over it. I'm sure there might be a fitting out there that someone knows of that might be able to slip in there, which would be awesome. If there is, let me know. But for what it is, it allows you to pull these guys off and check the tolerance, maintenance, whatever you need to do. Also, it's nice to just crawl under here and check everything to make sure nothing's moving around unnecessarily, per se. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Also, if you have a lifted 4runner with 4-link, I Am Keith's PCK kit is an absolute must. It levels out your panhard bar, your turning, your road handling, everything about it. Changes everything. You're just stabilized. You don't have your axle trying to pull out to the passenger side constantly. And if you have questions about that, let us know. Cool. Have a good night. Well, till the next one.
Successful day. Technically weak. Hubs, links, passenger side, engine mount, trans mount, driver side still needs to get done. Overall check of the rear end, overall check of the front end, motor. We did have a check engine light on the last run. Nothing to worry about. Stuck it right in the ketchup, red line that sucker for about 5 minutes. Cleared it right away. No big deal. Got a trip coming up this Friday Friday with someone fun. I don't think there's going to be much four-wheeling, which sucks because I can't two-wheel with these feet. I'm not good with it. I can two-wheel with that truck back there, but not with my feet. But again, the person I'm going with is going to be fun. So, should be fun. Truck should be ready to go. Coolant leak. About it. Got some extra coolant down there. Bring that. Once doesn't work, but we're not doing anything crazy. Pretty ready to go. Stay tuned for that one. If you guys have any questions about that thing, what I did, how I did it, why I did it, comment below. Other than that, see you next time on Johnny's Random Stupid Adventures.